Okay, so this is the books I'll be reading for the next few weeks, kind of thing. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm gonna try for two, but depending on how I should be able to for the next 2 weeks. I was gonna say, oh no, Thanksgiving, no, it's gonna be a somewhat busy weekend and all that, but no, the way you will see what I do in order to finish like what is it, 33 books in 2 weeks. You will see the for those of you who are new to my channel, at least, you will see what I do to combat that, I guess. I don't know what I was trying to say. Now, this one I will probably be reading right away, and that is that I got these gifted to me, and no, it's not. I had to return them. These are actually ones I'm going to keep. But the library guy talking about comics gifted me Magnus Robot Fighter issues 1 through 4. So we got issues 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not that it technically matters, but it'd be nice to know it was all Magnus Robot Fighter all in one. I'm pretty sure it's not. 4 issues. The way he was talking about the book, it seems to be it's more than 4 issues, but there we go. Now the first, again, either way, like I said before, but not actually before, but to myself, I guess I can say, because I deleted the video. It's just like the 13th, this like 47th cut. Like I said before, quote unquote, I don't, unless he gives me a used candy wrapper, I will always appreciate what the guy gets me. It's just whatever, like, Superman Shazam, I got the new printing, so here's the old printing, nice. Oh, this Superman Doomsday book I got at a yard sale, here you go, nice, you know. So it's always like, he just happens to have a book, he knows I like comics, so he gives them to me. And I've always wanted that kind of guy who would, that kind of person who would be like, I do it to him too. I gave him, one of the first books I gave him was a whole stack of books, because I had gotten the omnibuses, like Untold Tales of Spider-Man. I gave him volume 1 because I had the omnibus. So there you go. I gave him the paperback volume 1 to return the favor when he got me Superman Doomsday. Because there's also a surprise too. He just out of the blue said, "Hey, actually it wasn't him that called me. It was the other librarian. I guess he must have been out." And I just read like the message to her, and then she calls me, and then she said, "Oh, here's some books for him." And I was like, "No, that's nice." And then to repay the favor, even though it was one book, I gave him like what, 7? I went like crazy. I'm glad I did that too. I wasn't gonna. The only other person I would have given them to would have been my nephew, but I already got that covered too, so it was kind of nice. Like, okay, I'll give him these books. Give I'm not gonna say his real name. Give Trent these books, and give my nephew Blowfist these books. Again, that's not their real names. I'm just, I'm very weird about that, but I like when I did the AOK unboxing from Unruly Simeon, who's a subscriber, well, not a subscriber, he's a fan of the channel, and he has an Instagram. I asked him first, "Hey, I'm going over the books that you got me on a video, if it's okay that I shout you out?" And he said it was fine. So I'm always like aware of that. And it's always something I make sure not to ever say someone's name that I don't know that he wants to have the name said out loud. There are some exceptions, of course, like a live stream. I mentioned my cousin's name not on my stream with Logan's Media Hub, but Lauren, my other cousin. So it was a bit of a slip up, but I just said first name. Even then, it was one of those things where even after, like Logan had said something, and I was like, oh yeah, you're kind of right, but I kind of threw away after that. But ever since then, I've been a lot more observant. But anyways, let's get on with it. So, tangent over. The first 6 are all OGNs. Now, I read these, the OGNs are called otherwise known as original graphic novels. I read these all at once. All in one sitting, all within one day. Sometimes not within one actual sitting, but if the book is good enough, I will read it all in one sitting. This first one I probably will, and that is Night Eaters by Marjorie Liu and Sam Takeda. A lot of the reason why I got this book is because of the fact that I pre-ordered Monstrous Volume 8 this month. It's one of the 4 books you'll be seeing on a comic haul, hopefully at the latest Saturday. Knock on wood, hopefully at least, because it says it's coming in Saturday, and it hasn't shipped yet, so it must be Saturday. But because there's so many people ordering that book, you kind of had to be like, okay. Like, right now, you have to wait till December to get the book. Early December, but still December. Let's actually check. I'm curious now. But yeah, Night Eaters I'd read before, and I really enjoyed it. I just want to read it again. So it's still looking like it to wait a long time. Let's see. Nope, November 30th now, December 2nd. So still, usually it's 2 days. There's a lot more days than 2. Yeah, still not yet. Shit. Damn. Oh, and one book has not come in yet, but I put it in super late, so I wasn't even expecting it to come in today. Looks like it's still not coming in today. So yes, Night Eaters. We gotta hurry up. It was daylight. Supper Club. This is a book that they say is perfect for fans of Smile, and the only reason why I know this book exists was because I had seen it at Newbury Comics a long time ago, and I was about to purchase it myself because I was like, hey, it's a pretty thick book for a pretty good price, $14.99. Let's buy it. And it looks, and I flipped through it, and it's like, yeah, it looks about like up my alley. A little bit too silly, but I might enjoy it. And then I never picked it up because it was one of those books where I was like, okay, I can't get everything, so let's sacrifice Supper Club and get these books instead. And I'm glad I did, because now I got this for free. If I get enough, I will buy it myself. But maybe, but for right now, it's a library book. Now I did just say that I may or may not buy it myself, but this next one, even though it's from Image Comics, and even though it's right on my alley fantasy comic, it's a widescreen book. And what I mean by that, well, this is Echolands, and this is a widescreen book. It has... I don't usually show interior artwork when I'm going over books I will be reading, library hall kind of thing. I reserve that for comic halls only, like books I own. But yeah, this is what I mean by widescreen book. Now, this is just it's one of those things where this is gonna look kind of terrible on my shelf. It's gonna look like I'm sort of OCD about it. So, you know, I got like a book that was the size, a comic that was the size of a regular novel, so like that smaller sized, and that looks terrible on my shelf. But I needed to get everything by Mark Ricketts, and I was Nowheresville was the book in question. Even that, I'm like, oh, it looks terrible on my shelf. Not enough for me to like not want it anymore. I'm so glad I got it, obviously, but something like this, like, no, I decided just to get it at my local library and just be fine with it. Now there is a widescreen comic I might get for Christmas, but the only reason why I get it is because it's the last book I needed from that author, of the bunch I'm getting from that author. But time will tell if I even get that set of books. I'm stuck between 2, technically 3 books. Now this is something I want to mention for last video. I don't know if I believe I mentioned this when I was reviewing Wicked and Divine. In fact, I'm almost positive I did. The way I worded this made it sound like I was being kind of selfish about it. But basically, I might have to be on a lower budget for my Christmas books, because even though even though it's the same amount of money, it's just like one of those things where like we don't know if it's one of those things. The way I said it was, even the way I'm saying it now sounds terrible. But I just want to reiterate that. But moving on, before I get even worse. Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 2. They said they didn't have this one, but 2 days later, they're like, oh wait, we do. Here it is. It's really weird. I blame technology. Fantastic Four Full Circle. Now, I had mentioned this because the reread, when I read this the first time, I was like, oh, this is so expensive. If this was a softcover at $20, I wouldn't have batted an eye. I would have considered it to be a steal. So why did I consider it being $24.99 hardcover to not be a steal? You know? I just don't know why I did that. Why I felt that way. And yeah, okay, I still would have been like, wow, it's a lot for, a book. That book is only 64 pages, even though it's a bigger book. But I feel like even then I would have been like, wow, it's $20 for this book. And yes, I did check out Fantastic Four Full Circle, because part of the reason was that I had gotten the first Epic collection, collecting the first 18 issues of Fantastic Four last time from my local library, again, Interloans. So I decided to get the homage to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's run, Fantastic Four Full Circle. The Fifth Beatle. This is one that Newbury Condition had talked about a month ago, I believe. About a month ago, when he was going over November solicits, because this is getting a reprinting. And he also interviewed the author a few days ago. So it's very ironic that I checked this book out when I did. It's a very topical book if you're a Near Mint Condition fan like I am. Alice Ever After by Dan Panosian. Now this one, the first 15, the next 15 are all rereads, and now we're done with the OGNs. These are all, I'll read them one issue at a time, one per day. Alice Ever After is one of those rereads that I feel like I'm gonna remember a lot. I remember a lot of this book, and I'm kind of like hesitant as to when I put it in. I was kind of hesitant. I was like, it's been a bit too short. It hasn't been that long amount of time. It was like June, beginning of June. It was the library hall right after my birthday, which was a little bit after my birthday. I would say about 2 weeks after. Yeah, and when I put this one in, I was like, I don't remember too much from this book. I'm checking it out again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but it's like even then. But I'm so glad I checked it out. Star Wars Volume 4 and Darth Vader Volume 4. It's the Jason Aaron run. It's the Kieran Gillen run. Both outstanding books, and still my favorite Star Wars books. I've read 7 total. 6 total, you said? I think we said 6. The End Fantastic Four. The first time I got this, the first time I'm getting this in softcover form. The last 2 times I read this book, it was in hardcover. One of those books that I liked just enough that I still like slightly recommend it, but every 6 to 8 months or so, I want to give it a redemption and see if I like it a lot more the next time around, you know. Because everyone else that's read this book seems to like it, that I trust, you know? It's like, I'm an odd man out. JLA Year 1 by Mark Waid. This is one I have not read in a long time. I don't know why I haven't, because I really enjoyed this book the first time I read it. And it's been so long, I barely remember a thing. I don't even remember who the main villain of that book is. All I know is that I remember really liking it. And it was, again, another one that was Year 1, so it's like their first year of being on the team of Justice League. First year of Justice League as a team. Then we have another Justice League book, and that is Justice League The Totality by Scott Snyder. One of those books I just like, and I did the same for Dark Knights Metal, where I just did not like it the first time, but I really like the author, Scott Snyder, so it's like, it's kind of weird not to like a book that, I really like Scott Snyder's writing. I really like The Wake by him, but everything else I've like, all his recent stuff I haven't really liked. Except for Undiscovered Country, but even that, first of all, it's co-authored by Charles Soule, and second of all, it's one that is like okay. It's not like a book that I would like recommend to everyone. It's a 10 out of 10 book. No, it's more like a 6 out of 10. I'm just getting the trades because just to get everything Scott Snyder has done for Image Comics. I like it enough. I would consider reading it, but it's just one of those books where, you know, it's kind of like, I don't hate it, but I don't like to love it. Middle of the road kind of thing. But I don't consider it to be a waste of money when I get to the next 2 volumes. In fact, I eagerly await the next 2 volumes. And with Volume 6, I believe, yeah, Volume 6 will be the last volume in that series. So that's when I'll read them all at once, binge read them, and then give you an official review of the series. Because I've only read the first 4 issues so far. Home by Julio Anta. This is one that I'm reading again just for the hell of it. I didn't hate it the first time I read it, but basically this book is Julio Anta's rantings on Twitter brought to life in a comic book. And if you know what I mean by that, you're rolling your eyes too. So it's kind of like, yeah, exactly. But I want to read it again. I got it for free. I didn't give Julio Anta 1 cent out of my wallet, so there we go. That's what they call a life hack. Spider-Man Deadpool. This is one that I had, yeah, and the one they said he didn't have, but then he did a few years later, along with Wonder Woman. Now I don't remember this book. Or was that the bunny person? The bunny supervillain, I think. It was like really crazy. I believe that's all I remember from it. So I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, yeah, I kind of remember that character. Last volume of both Magneto and Wicked and the Divine. Avengers Under Siege, like with Alice Ever After, one of those books where I'm like, I feel like I remember too much from this book. Because it wasn't that long ago I checked this out before. But like with Alice Ever After, I like it so much that I really don't care. It's just a really damn good book. I do that with books. I do that with books I read last month. I believe I did that. Books I read a month ago. I read again a month later. It was in my PC, my personal collection. So I believe I do. That's why you guys think I review that book. I may start doing that too. In fact, I have. But it was a floppy, and I don't really include floppies. It's a lot harder to do than trade paperbacks for. I mean, honestly, if I really think about it, I don't think it'd be that weird, that annoying to do, but tell. Feathers by George Corona. One of those books, like with, what was the book I was talking about? Like with, I'm gonna even say like with Undiscovered Country. I guess like with Poe Dameron, the first 3 volumes I've read anyways. One of those books that I liked but didn't love, and I really feel like I should have loved it, 'cause it's George Corona. And yeah, the only other book I read by him, was drawn by him, but still. And also it was one of those things that everyone else may really enjoy it, and again, on me a note. Oh, The End was the other one. I was trying to think about. It was The End, not Undiscovered Country. Wonder Woman Volume 3, Guts. Still my favorite Wonder Woman run, and we'll see if that changes with that volume. I doubt it will. The Filth by Grant Morrison. One of those books I just really enjoy, and it's one of those books that every time I read it, I find something new to enjoy from it. And it's, again, you have to be very patient with Grant Morrison books, because it's a very, very confusing. He's an author that writes very confusing books that don't make a whole lot of sense. But I lost my train of thought. He writes very confusing books, but if you really pay attention to it and like you read it, I feel like you have to read a Grant Morrison book 3 times to really appreciate the book. And if you're like me, you don't really care. You probably only take you 1 time to read it. But The Filth took me about, I would say, 2 times. The first time I read it, I didn't really like it that much, but I read it for a second time, I like it a lot more. And I've since read it, I want to say 7 times total, including this time around. Walking Dead Book 4. This is probably my favorite Image Comics series. And yet I feel no reason to buy it myself. And yeah, okay, a lot of it is because there's a lot of issues, but I can buy all 4 compendiums, like Christmas or whatever, you know? So, even then, I don't really need to. And I don't know why that is. I think a lot of it is because there's just so much to purchase from it, and at least with, like, Monstrous and... Yeah, at least with Monstrous, even though they have all 7 volumes, there's an 8th one coming out, and it's still ongoing, I believe. So it's one of those things where it's like, might as well, you know? Rather than wait 20 years to read them all at a local library when their series is finally over, you might as well just buy myself. And it's, some books I like having my PC. But like with Wicked and Divine, like that's all done. There's no more Wicked and Divine coming out, so and they have all 9 volumes at my local library. I got to interloan it, but still they have it somewhere. You know, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, why do we not remember the? It's almost like I don't remember the reason why I got Monstrous but not Wicked and Divine. You know, why I felt need to buy that and not Wicked and Divine kind of thing. Moving on, Poe Dameron, Legend Lost. Now these are all new. That was the end of the OGNs. Sorry, there's the end of the rereads. We're now on to the ones I'm reading for the first time, starting with Poe Dameron. Return of Wolverine by Charles Soule. One of those books I just never put in. I don't know why. I think what happened was I looked after I read Wolverine. This is after I'd read Death of Wolverine, and I guess I just never thought to put it in. I must have put it in, but it wasn't showing up because sometimes you'll look up a book like the official title for ILL, again, two different catalogs. One's ILL, one's G-Milks. And when I put in ILL, sometimes you have to search by ISBN sometimes for ILL to show you the book that's obviously there. Like Punisher War Machine, I had to look up by ISBN to get volumes 1 and 2. I couldn't just look up Punisher War Machine. Even the author wasn't showing up. It was very weird. And that's why I'm so glad they moved on for 14 libraries, including one I go to, that's local to me. They all decided to go on Gmail because it's a much better system. But you can still but some libraries still do not do IOL, including this one, which is Concord. So I can say what the library is. I basically told you guys where I told you guys the state I live in last video. So when I was starting out my barber, because if you guys didn't notice, I got a haircut recently, and my barber, who knows I have a YouTube channel, was like, "Shout me out," and I was like, "Okay." I didn't give out my actual address. You know, I just gave you guys a general place of the general like kind of state and province technically. But anyways, She-Hulk Volume 2. This is up to. Thankfully, thank God, because that was not the best run of She-Hulk. Again, a lot of it is a pacing. Even I don't know. And that's ironic that we have 2 Charles Soule books back to back. That was not planned. It's the way things went. Legend of Drizzt Exile Volume 2. So, nah, I'll say it after. God is Dead, Volume 6. Of 8, by the way. So, 2 more volumes of that series, and then we'll be done. I'm sad to see this, and I'm already dreading finishing that series off, because it is so damn entertaining. Justice League Prisms. This is the Brian Michael Bendis run, and it's the only volume they have anywhere near me for library. I am not exactly losing sleep over that. And yeah, I know I probably shouldn't do that, but I don't think I'm gonna be that hooked with a modern Brian Michael Bendis book. Ronin Island, Volume 3 of 4. Which is ironic they have 4 issues per volume, so it's like 4 volumes collecting 4 issues each. Yeah, it's a very good book, very good series so far, by the way. I already recommend to check out all 4 volumes. Even though I've only read half of the volumes, I recommend you check out the entire series already. Bombshell is Volume 1 by Marguerite Bennett. Last 2 Marguerite Bennett books I didn't really like, and this one was one that I just had when I was browsing. I just so happened to come across it. I was like, yeah, let's put that in. But the I couldn't do it right. I couldn't do it right then because I already had 2 8 books checked out, so I decided to do it next time. And here we are. Unwritten, Volume 11 of 11. Now, this is one that, like with She-Hulk, I'm glad to see go, but it's much, much better than She-Hulk. In fact, I will always say that Unwritten is underrated. I tried to do a pun there, but it kind of failed on next. I almost said, I don't know what I almost said, but it's very underrated in my opinion. But still, again, it walks that fine line between feeling like homework to read every issue and actually being enjoyable. A lot of the reason for why I feel that way is due to the fact that it's very wordy at times, and again, that articles thing, they show you a bunch of articles to build a world, and it's the way they do it is very like, it's not too annoying, but for me it is. But for everyone else, I wouldn't really notice it, if anything, and they would appreciate that, if anything. But for me, I'm just like, it's just a bunch of words I gotta read now. It's a really weird tangent of mine, I know, but there's no other way I can think of to explain it, so let's move on. Batman Dark Detective by Steve Englehart, and yes, and no, it's not Dark Knight Detective, which collects all the post-crisis Batmans. It is just called Batman Dark Detective. An older Batman book I'd never heard of before. I didn't even know Steve Englehart had a Batman run. And, looks pretty interesting. It was one of those books that I just decided to check it out. I was like, the hell with it. But you can tell it's a very old book. There's a lot of blemishes. Not blemishes, but like a lot of, like, it's like dog-eared here, you know. This is what I imagine a used good book looks like from Amazon. We get them from third-party sellers, or even Amazon themselves. Batman Creature of the Night. After long last, I finally have it. The last time I put it in, it was during the summertime, and I completely forgot about it. And then just recently, I was like, oh yeah, I put it in, and I did. And last, but certainly not the least, a book I've also been waiting a long time for, but the first time I put it in, it was just way too new of a book. This book just came out this year, and that is British Paranormal Society by Chris Roberson. And that, as I say, is that. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I only like checking out with the read it once a day. Ones like Unwritten and Legend of Drizzt. I like doing 25 of those. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice there's 27. So I will be reading. Not that really matters, but it doesn't matter. I was just gonna say that I'm gonna so down 25. I'm gonna read two of these per day, but one of each per day for two of them. But it's not a weird thing. It's just a weird thing to mention. Now, how many issues are here? 6 to 12 of. It's really weird. It says this final volume in Unwritten Saga collects issues 6 to 12. That's strange. Because that's not right. So it's Unwritten Apocalypse 6 to 12. It's really weird because War Stories 1 through 5. So that was really confusing for people collecting floppies back in the day. That's why I think being a trade waiter works for so many people, because it's Unwritten Volume 11, not Unwritten. You know, it's really like confusing for people. Why they do that? Because then you would see Unwritten Apocalypse, you wouldn't even know if it's the sequel to War Stories. But like, hey, where's 1 through 5 of Apocalypse? I have 1 through 5 War Stories, but not 1 through 5 Apocalypse. They must have been some way of telling you. That's it. Sorry, maybe something to jump. But yeah, it was really weird. But that's it.